Skoda Octavia Scout represents an endangered species. What species might that be, and why is it endangered? Keep on watching. This is Matra Rancho. It's one of my first, if not the first, Matchbox cars, and judging by the date here at the bottom, I got it when I was 4 years old. One could argue Matra Rancho started the trend which we see on the car market today. Clients like cars with bigger ground clearance, but they aren't really interested in taking them off-road. Matra, later Talbot Rancho, was conceived at the time when the world was enchanted by the Range Rover, but not everyone could afford the luxury off-roader. It was cheaper to buy an estate based on a small pickup.
The real crossover boom came 3 decades after the Rancho debuted. During this time, car makers toyed with the idea of raised hatchbacks and estate cars. Look at the Mark II Golf Country, or the MG Rover Streetwise, or the Peugeot 508 RXH, or the Alfa Romeo 156 Crosswagon. Skoda has the Octavia and the superb Scout, VW has the Golf and the Passat Alltrack, Audi has the A4 and A6 Allroad, Mercedes has the E-Class All-Terrain, if you've seen one. Volvo replaced the V70 Cross Country with the V60 and V90 Cross Country. Even Ford has the Focus Active and Toyota has the Corolla Trek, albeit these are exclusively front-wheel drive cars.
When I picked up the Scout for this test drive, I seriously wondered whether by any chance I got the ordinary Octavia. Unfortunately, this is it. The ordinary Octavia has flat fenders around the wheel arches, and here they just stuck on some plastic cladding. Also, bottom parts of the front and the rear bumpers have been changed, but that fake skid plate will pick up sand, so go easy off-roading, even if the Scout has some underbody protection as standard. Ooh.
Also, the 163mm ground clearance is hardly encouraging when it comes to off-road challenges. Even Golf and the Passat Alltrack have more than 17cm ground clearance. And that's where mainstream crossovers start. Looking at the tech specs and price list for the regular Octavia and the Octavia Scout, it seems as if the Scout is just an off-road package. Underbody protection with raised ground clearance, plus different bumpers and plastic cladding. And what about all-wheel drive? Well, for the first time, you can get the Octavia Scout also with front-wheel drive.
It seems as if the clients only want the looks, but not too much. Only the slightest visual cues, like in the Corolla Trek or the Focus Active, are acceptable. But more plastic cladding, like in the Mazda CX-30, that's too controversial. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
To sum up, identically spec'd style trim costs more or less the same as the Scout. You need to add about €2,000 worth of options for the style to match the Scout's standard equipment, so the plastic cladding is almost free. As far as the interior is concerned, I have talked about it in length in my 2020 Octavia review, link in the description below and in the upper right corner of the screen. Add it to your watch later list, and let's crack on with this review. We'll start the test drive section with what people apparently don't care about, and that's the off-road prowess. This is my diagonal approach test. If you keep the momentum going, you'd probably drive most front-wheel drive cars up this small incline, but I stop halfway when two wheels diagonally opposite to each other have the least traction. This puts the all-wheel drive system under most pressure, and it's possible to see and feel what's going on. The first approach is in normal mode. Just like in the VW Passat Alltrack, also here I can feel the system fighting, but it seems there isn't much left to fight with. To be fair, it just started raining, so the Octavia Scout had less traction than the Passat Alltrack did in the same spot. Skoda Octavia has the 6th generation multi-plate clutch all-wheel drive system. It's available on the more powerful models. The new generation of the all-wheel drive system is, predictably, lighter and more efficient than the previous gen. The second approach is in off-road mode. Depending on the engine variant and the options selected, Octavia Scout can be equipped with an off-road mode, which adapts traction control and the electronic diff to the situation. Skoda doesn't even bother telling you what are the approach, breakover and departure angles for the Scout. I only found the standard combi numbers, 14.3 degrees approach and 13 degrees departure. The liftback has a slightly worse departure angle.
Under the bonnet of this test car is a 150 horsepower diesel. Claimed fuel economy is around 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers combined, about half a liter more than the non-Scout model, with the same engine and gearbox and front-wheel drive, and it is achievable.
Skoda also claims 0 to 100 km per hour time is 8.7 seconds. I got more even in sport mode. Perhaps on summer tires I would get closer. Unfortunately, like in most cars these days, Skoda cuts power when taking off. When you want to get off the line fast, you can feel the car would love to, but the computer says no. Remember this when you want to merge quickly.
I recall the Octavia I drove in 2020 was not particularly well sound insulated. This one is much better. I checked the spec sheet and it has acoustic front windows, something the early production car from a year ago didn't have. The early production car also had some electronic issues, which this one doesn't seem to have. Instead, the door handles creak noticeably. Skoda, you had time to get that fixed. The steering is so light that after I got into the Octavia from a Mini Countryman, I almost ended up in a ditch. I quickly turned on travel assist. The early car didn't have it, and in my recent Skoda ENG review, I didn't know how to turn it on. There's a separate cruise control lever behind the steering wheel, and then there is a travel assist button on the steering wheel. Why not keep everything in one place?
Travel Assist works alright. This car gets full sat-nav with traffic sign recognition. Also, Android Auto sat-nav directions are visible on the HUD. It's a comfortable car for cruising from A to B, just don't expect it to be engaging. And the seats could have more lumbar support adjustment. Skoda Octavia has the same boot like the ordinary Octavia Combi, that's 640 liters. The boot is more than a meter wide by the floor and 109 centimeters long. The double floor is a €510 option regardless of the trim. That off-road pack is cheaper. I like the Velcro organizer concealed in the side dividers. There are good shopping bag hooks and levers to release the back seats. The latter is an option on lower trim models. This Scout was oddly configured without a tow hook, but this option is available. By the way, the Octavia can tow up to 2 tons depending on the engine variant.
A few months ago I drove the superb Scout, which also has this slanted tailgate like the Octavia. It looks more interesting than the almost vertical tailgate in the Passat, but there's a problem when it rains and you need to reach something from the boot, because you get less protection from the rain.
Price of the Skoda Octavia Scout started €33,430. This test car with a 2-liter 150 horsepower diesel, all-wheel drive, DSG and options costs around €44,000. Which is all good and well, except that the Skoda Octavia Scout doesn't really stand out when it comes to looks, performance or off-road abilities. There aren't many raised estate cars these days, and some are not even offered with all-wheel drive. Others, on the other hand, are prohibitively expensive.
There's very few clients willing to buy a raised estate because most people prefer, guess what, trendy SUVs. Only a handful of brands bother making off-road station wagons for such a niche target group. And the Skoda Octavia Scout is a good example because the Scout badge could just as well be a trim level. If you like off-roady estate cars, then I'm sorry to report, but the Octavia Scout is not what it once was. Also, put your money where your mouth is and buy a car of this sort, perhaps not the Scout, to let the car makers know there is still hope. Otherwise, shut up and buy yourself an SUV on 20-inch rims. Just steer clear of any curbs. And what do you think about the Skoda Octavia Scout and raised estates in general? Are they a good idea? Maybe it's better to get an SUV. Do you need all-wheel drive at all? Let me know in the comment section below.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.